Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Persons who hear from a spiritual master with great labor and for a long time must hear from the mouths of a pure devotees about the character and activities of pure devotees. Pure devotees always think within their hearts of the Lord of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, who awards his devotees liberation. Purport. Transcendental students are those who undergo great penance in being trained by hearing the Vedas from a bona fide spiritual master. Not only must they hear about the activities of the Lord, but they must also hear about the transcendental qualities of the devotees who are constantly thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord within their hearts. A pure devotee of the Lord cannot be separated from the Lord, from the lotus feet of the Lord for even a moment. Undoubtedly, the Lord is always within the hearts of all living creatures, but they hardly know about it because they are deluded by the illusory material energy. The devotees, however, realize the presence of the Lord, and therefore they can always see the lotus feet of the Lord within their hearts. Such pure devotees of the Lord are as glorious as the Lord. They are in fact recommended by the Lord as more worshipable than He Himself. Worship of the devotee is more potent than worship of the Lord. It is therefore the duty of the transcendental students to hear of pure devotees as explained by similar devotees of the Lord. Because one cannot explain about the Lord or his devotee unless one happens to be a pure devotee himself. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Surtasya pumsam suchir sirmasya nanu anjasa surivir idritortha tat gunanu mukunda padare vindam hirdeshu esam. Shrutasya pumsam suchir shamasya. So we must hear about the Lord. And suchira means for a long time. And shamasya means Shama. Shama means great labor. What does mean great labor to hear? By attention. Attention to hear something with attention require labor. Generally, we don't want to put labor. We don't want to put our effort. So sometimes we'll keep chanting, but we'll not be hearing. Because if you have to hear, you have to put some energy, some effort. So it is said, Surtasya pumsam suchir sirmasya. So we must hear about the Lord with attention for long time. Nana anjasa surivir idrito artha. And also we should not only hear about the Lord, but we must also hear about His pure devotees. Tat gunanu shavalam mukunda padarevin hirdeshu esha. So by hearing about the Lord and by hearing about his pure devotee from pure devotee. What happens? Mukund padare bindam hirdesu esha. So we can able to compact the lotus feet of the Lord in our heart. So when we hear about the Lord, or we hear about the pure devotees of his activities and character, then from the pure devotee, then we will able to compact or concentrate the Mukunda Padare Vindam Hirdeshu. So, it is mentioned in the purport in the beginning, Prabhupada is writing, transcendental students are those who undergo great penance in being trained by hearing. So if you have to hear something, or that too especially about transcendental activity of the Lord or the holy name, it requires a great penance. So that's the reason sometimes we try to hear, so we may not, we hear some words, but some words we misses. So why we are not able to hear when we want to hear? Especially about holy name, especially by activity of the Lord. So reason is that we say mind is too disturbed. A lot of thought comes. Why thought comes? What is the reason of thought to come? While chanting or while doing any spiritual activities. I would say any activities. So reason is that because we have a lot of sense gratification thought and we want to do sense gratification. So mind is always churning constantly to either planning how I can be glorified, how I can protect myself, how generally planning happens when devotees when you are chanting. What is the planning through that? What I have to do, this I have to do, this all planning happens. So because we have no complete dependence on the Lord, and also we want to become center of attraction. So by that, for that purpose, mind will keep planning. Or some problem is there, finding out the solution of that problem. So mind being disturbed, so mind can be peaceful only when it is completely dedicated to Krishna. What does mean of dedicated to Krishna? Now I am trying to think of Krishna lotus feet, I am not able to think. So, when we are completely full faith, we have complete faith on the Lord, and also always we want to please the Lord. Like Prahlad Maharaj, the small boy, he was tortured by his father many ways, but he was not at all disturbed because he is completely surrendered to Krishna. He is completely full faith in the protection of the Lord. He knows he has complete faith, whatever Lord will do, the best for him. So when we have complete faith or complete faith in the protection of the Lord, complete dependency on the Lord, then only mind can be peaceful. And if we having that, for that to have, we must know who is Lord. Who is Krishna? Na? He's a Sarvagya, he's everywhere. And he has a Abhigya. He knows everything. Directly, indirectly, aware of everything. और ना स्थावर जंगम देखे ना देखे तारा मूर्ति सर्वत है निज इष्ट देव स्फूर्ति निज इष्ट देव स्फूर्ति. So the devotees who can see Krishna everywhere, that can happen when we are dependent and develop love for God. Prabhupada gives an example, like a mother and child is there. So mother is doing some household work and child is gone to the school. Little child, some 4 or 5 years old. So when she is cleaning something, she finds some toys, she remembers his child. Some small cloth or the socks of the child, she remembers. Some book of the child, she remembers the child. So because she has developed love attachment to Krishna, for that child, that's the reason she could able to remember constantly the child while doing work. Similarly, when we develop love for the Lord, and love can be, we can develop love only when we know about the Lord. So Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, all describing about the Lord or about His pure devotees. So Prabhupada is writing the purport. Not only must they hear about the activity of the Lord, but they must also hear about the transcendental quality of the devotee who are constantly thinking of the lotus with the Lord within their heart. And further, Prabhupada is writing, the devotees, however, realize the presence of the Lord. Yeah. So we should also hear about the Lord. Should not only hear about the Lord, but also hear about His pure devotee. And Prabhupada is writing further, pure devotees of the Lord are as glorious as the Lord. They are in fact recommended by the Lord as more worshipable than He Himself. So when we serve His pure devotees, is much more faster purification than serving the Lord. Similarly, hearing about His pure devotee and hearing about the Lord, so hearing about pure devotee is much more potent, spiritually potent, because Lord's become very pleased when we glorify His pure devotees. Prabhupada gives example, as one person got a child. So if you want to please the person, you please the child. And for the case, pleasing the child is very easy. Give him small one chocolate, he will be very happy. But pleasing a main person is very difficult. And a little difficult, I would say. So when we please Yassa Prasada Bhagavat Prasado Yasha Aprasada Nagadikado. So when the pure devotee is pleased, then automatically Krishna is pleased. But if you are not able to please the devotee, pure devotee, spiritual master, there is no way you will be able to please Krishna. So sometimes we want to please Krishna. Don't caring about devotees is very, very difficult. It's impossible. It can never happen. So our process should be to please the devotees, to serve devotees. So similarly, if we are offenses to devotees, then it will be very difficult and for our to maintain our spiritual good consciousness. So, so devotee always feel gopi bhartur pada kamlyor dasa dasa anudasa. He always feel I am very low, downtrodden. He never is amanitham. He always sees I am very low. So he devotee have never, they don't have any pride. And because when we have a pride, we become very offensive to others. Or even in the Adi Puran, Krishna says, whoever says I am the devotee of Krishna, but actually they say he is not my devotee. But those are my devotees, they're actually my devotees. So if we have to please Krishna, we have to please Prabhupada. And if you have to please Prabhupada, then you have to please his devotees, his disciples. Those are sincerely trying to serve his mission. So even Prabhupada is not limited to his deity form, but his whole mission, his disciples, his books, his instructions, all put together, they are represent Srila Prabhupada. So for us, especially, we have to be very cautious when we live in the devotee community. If you are not very cautious, then we may offend devotees. Even mentally offending also devotee, will check our progress towards Krishna, will check our attraction towards Krishna, and will be sucked by the desire of sense gratification. So that we can aloof from the devotees association. So Prabhupada says, devotee always feel I am nothing. As today morning also we were reading, Prabhupada wrote a poem. Today is the day when Prabhupada actually reached to the Boston. Prabhupada is writing, I am insignificant beggar. So because in reality, if we see, we are very, very tiny. And always we have to depend on the mercy of the Lord. And worship of the devotee is more potent than worship of the Lord. It is therefore the duty of the transcendent student to hear of pure devotee as explained by similar devotee of the Lord. Because one cannot explain about the Lord or his devotees unless one happens to be. So when we hear about pure devotee, we have to hear from pure devotee. And by hearing that sound from a pure devotee is very important. Jeev jago, kora chantra bole. So when the transcendental sound, potent sound, entered into the ear by a potent or pure devotee, it awakens our love or dormant attachment towards Krishna. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabuna Sharvadi Suddhi Chitta Karyodaya. By hearing about the Lord or hearing about his devotees as a very, very powerful process. So, and when we hear about his devotees, like Bhagavatam described about Yudhishthir Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Kunti Maharani, many, many great devotees. So by hearing their activities or life sketch, it help us to get even inspiration. How they meticulously serve the Lord, how meticulously they thought of the Lord, how they were involved in serving his devotees. Like even Prahlad Maharaj, when he asked by Nrsimha Deva, ask any benediction. So he said two things. I should not have any material desire, and he says, I should be able to serve my spiritual master Narad Muni. So Prabhupada says in that context, he did not ask service to the Nrsimha Dev. He asked service to his spiritual master Narad Muni. Because service to the spiritual master includes already service to Krishna. So, the spiritual master is a transparent by media to link ourselves to Krishna. So, see, linking Krishna is very difficult for us. But through a spiritual master, by one of our spiritual master, we can link. And that's the reason even we sings the Guru Vandana also. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Satma. So the pure devotional service we can achieve only by the mercy of a pure devotee. Guru. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Bandhu Mui Savadhana Mate. So Savadhan means here with awe and reverence, when we see with great attention, great respect when we serve his instructions. By doing so, we can achieve pure devotion service. And Jahara Prasade Bhai E Bhav Tariya Jaye, Krishna Prapti Hoye Jahan Hote. So by his mercy, by pure devotees, Guru mercy, we can cross this science, very, very miserable world. And we can achieve the mercy of Krishna. We can achieve Krishna Prapti. Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chetete Koriya Ekya. So the devotees or the disciple always carrying the instructions of his Guru in the heart. Always carrying the instruction in the heart means always thinking how I can fulfill the orders of my spiritual master. So, now many times ask devotee, how can I please you? So Prabhupada says, chant Hare Krishna. You become Krishna conscious and preach. So, Janma Sarthak Kar Parupkar. So, we should first become a good devotee. We have to chant the holy name very sincerely. And the holy name, especially the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna Mantra, the seed words, Prabhupada says, Hare, Ram and Krishna. They have all potency, knowledge, Nam, Guna, Leela, all are there in the holy name. Bhakti Thakur says, when you chant sincerely, Nam, Guna, Leela, all will manifest. All knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, they are all embedded into the holy name. So when we hear sincerely, so this Chittete Koriya Ekya. So heart should always carry the instructions, the teachings of a Guru always. And or na Koriyo Mane Asa. We should have no other desire. So always we should carry. And Sri Guru Charana Rati Esi Uttamagati e prashade puri sarvasa. So again, charanarati means somebody charanarati means just thinking of the lotus feet of the Guru. Yes, that is one way. But more than that, is carrying his instructions, trying to fulfill the instructions. So one of the purport in the Bhagavatam Prabhupada writes is one is not able to fulfill the desire of spiritual master, then for living there is no meaning for his living. So Prabhupada always wanted to become very good Krishna conscious devotee and try to preach his the glories of Krishna to others. So if you do sincerely that, then Prabhupada will be very pleased. Then automatically when we do so, Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashit. By reading books we get some theoretical knowledge, but the realization will come when we serve the holy name, his devotee offenselessly. Our main cause for offenses is to be carry our sense gratification desires. Or when we do bhakti, it's called bhakti lata. Why is not called bhakti taru or tree? Bhakti lata. Lata means it requires some support. Lata cannot stand alone. So we require the mercy of the devotees, mercy of the spiritual master, his lotus feet. Then so as I said, our aparadha because of I want to become center of attraction, and that the disease we are carrying. Even devotion service, we look after appreciation. So that's a bhakti. When we do, a lot of beads comes, puja, pratishtha, lava, kutaniti. Sometimes become very duplicate. And the reason to be duplicate is to again sense gratification. So unless we come out from the sense-driven thought, that duplicity will not go. Here question is, I want to be happy. But actually Jiva is meant to give happiness to Krishna. We are the servant. Krishna is the master. Or Krishna is master and Isavashadam Sarvam. Krishna master of everything. And everything is meant to give pleasure to Krishna. Mother says, each atom is meant to give pleasure to Krishna. And if we excuse some happiness, that's called aparadha, offense. So actually the true happiness of a jiva is happiness, to give happiness to Krishna, to give pleasure to Krishna. And Krishna being the ocean of bliss, we can actually experience that ocean of bliss even in this conditional life. If we sincerely try to give happiness or pleasure to Krishna. So the whole human life, and more so when the dedicated devotee's life is meant to always introspect, contemplate on on the knowledge which we heard from spiritual master, always thinking about the Lord, and completely merge our mind into the Krishna. And Father says, even we have to be careful, as he said, to avoid offense to the devotees. To put down some devotee down, or give some trouble to the devotee, difficulty for the devotees, that is unacceptable by the Lord. Especially the devotee who is completely dependent on the Lord, it be give trouble to that devotee, then one of the, I think, sixth canto in the beginning chapter, first or second chapter, Buddha writes, in the case of the Ajamila. So Maharaj is saying to the Yamdutas, please do not go where the devotee is chanting holy name. He said, if you go to trouble them, punish them, so they forget about you. Even Brahma or I will to punish them. Lord will come with the gada and beat us. So never go wherever the devotees are chanting the holy name. So as a devotee, we have to be very careful. As he said, Krishna himself says, serving the devotee is more laudable, or more pleasing to the Lord, serving the Lord directly. So similarly, when we give trouble to the devotee, is very, very harmful to our progress toward the spiritual path. So here in this particular sloka, the conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. So Vidura expressing his desire to hear more about Manu. Manu and Satrupa. Swayambhu Manu has come, so he says, I want to hear more about his activities, Swayambhu Manu. So even the one pure devotee is already Vidura. He wants to hear about the different activities of another pure devotee of Swayambhu Manu. So that Shravanam is very important. And Prabhupada says, if you have done sufficient Shravanam, then you want to do Kirtana. Kirtana means preaching. If you have not done sufficient Shravana, then Kirtana will not be very effective. And when Shravana and Kirtana is not there, then Smaranam will not happen. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anushmayudasa. So we are meant to always remember Krishna, to always think about Krishna. So that Shravana, the Smarana will happen when we do sufficient Shravan and Kirtana. So the whole bhakti process is meant called Shravanam Kirtana. Even in Golokdham, all the devotees, like when a cowherd boys goes to the herding the cows along with the Lord, then what they are doing? Kirtana, glorifying Krishna Valam. Oh, Krishna, you are like this. Oh, you beautiful. So they are all talking about Krishna. When they come, they tell to their mothers what had happened throughout the day. So mothers were hearing very attentively. So that Shravana and Kirtana is very prominent in the spiritual world. So Shravana Kirtana will not stop. Over this chanting is not. Okay, now once you become pure, very nice, then you stop chanting. Now already no. You will able to relish more and more. Like Guru Goswami says, what a one tongue and 2 ears will do. He is looking after the billions of tongue and trillions of years. He can release the holy name. So Jiva is always, and true position, always attracted by glories of Krishna. Naturally, the Jiva is attracted towards Krishna. And even 11th canto it is mentioned that Mad Bhaktya Puja Vyadhika. So they said, my devotees, worship to my devotee is much more potent, or Adhika means higher. Like even the famous verse where Lord Shiva says, Aradhananam Sarvishna. Vishnur Aradhanam Param Tasmat Partaram Devi Tadyanam Sarvishna. Tadyanam is those who are serving Krishna, his devotees. And devotees are very, very merciful. They come pleased very easily. Krishna also become pleased very patram puspam phalam toyam. But devotee is much more easier. And when you are chanting Hare Krishna, devotees are very pleased. So we see how potent it is to hear about glories of the Lord and also glorify His pure devotees. So when we do so, we will develop our contamination will go and we will develop attraction towards Krishna. So with this I will stop. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Go Prem Nande Hare.